All right, let's do this elasticity example here in Excel. So this file is in Blackboard, whatever week we're in, week 3, I believe. But with this particular example, what we're selling some product. Our old numbers, we sold 1,000 of them. Our new numbers are going to be 700 because we're raising our price, right? The price is going up from $100 to 120. So is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it elastic or inelastic demand? We got to do some formulas here. So let's do the percent change of the quantity here. So again, it went from 1,000 to 700. So new minus old divided by old. So I got to do equal open paren. And again, the newer number is the 700. The quantity went down. I'm clicking on it here, right? Don't ever type in these cell addresses. Minus the old. Don't forget to close the paren or it will not work. Divided by the old, right? New minus old divided by old. D4 minus C4 divided by C4 comes out at a negative 30%, right? Which does make sense. We can do that in my head almost. But here again, I don't want the negative sign. It doesn't really matter, positive or negative. So to get rid of the negative sign, I'm just going to go after the equal sign here. Double click on the cell to edit it. And there's the ABS formula, absolute formula. And again, every function has to have an open paren and a closed paren behind the whole thing. So I'm just doing the absolute value of this formula. So again, you have to have two more, or an open and closed paren around this. Then it comes out to 30%, right? So again, just double click. We'll always let you go into these formulas. Escape gets you out if you don't want to make changes. And then I can quickly, again, do a right click and copy this down because the cell addresses are the same down here, C7, D7. So if I copy this from F4 down to F7, it should, and again, never hurts to double click. Yeah, there's the absolute value of D7, the new price, 120, minus the old price, 100, divided by that 100. Fine. And then my coefficient of demand is I'm going to take this percent change in quantity divided by the percent change in price. So equal this 30, F4 divided by this 20, F7, and again, enter about 1.5, right? So this is your, well, is it elastic or inelastic? Let's take a look at the total revenue from one to the other. So what happened when I raised my prices with my total revenue? I'm going to go equal. Total revenue, again, is just quantity times price, C4 times C7, right? That will give me my old total revenue is 100,000. If I just copy this over, remember your autofill, you go to the bottom handler here of this 100,000, copied over, boom, right? I lost revenue, right? So I'm going to add a new thing here, my change in revenue. It is my new revenue minus my old revenue. So this is a negative 16,000. I'm just going to widen this column B a little bit. Negative $16,000. This is a bad idea, right? So because this is very much an inelastic demand. Let me open up. I think I got this thing in column J. I'm going to highlight I. Notice there is no column J, right? So I'm highlighting I. I click on the I, drag over to K. Then I can right click and unhide. I'm always hiding and unhiding things, right? So if it's greater than 1, it's elastic, right? This is a product people can easily shift to a substitute for. So it's a bad idea to raise the prices, right? My revenue went down. If it's less than 1, it's inelastic. That's a good thing, that my total revenue should go up. So for example, if I change my quantity here, it's a different scenario. It only goes down to 900. I'm changing this one to D4. Then notice, again, I get a 10% change, of course. We can easily see this. My coefficient of demand is less than 1 now, so my total revenues went up, so my change in revenue is 8,000. So looking at these different elasticities, I'm just going to do a quick graph here to play around. I'm going to highlight the old and the new, right? I just click on old, drag over the new. And I also want to graph the total revenues, the old and new, so I can quickly see it in a graphic representation. So I'm just holding the control key down. It's the command key if you're a Mac user. Hold my control key down and highlight these two cells. So again, I got C3 and D3 highlighted and what, C9 and D9 highlighted. Then I can just go create my graph. What is it? Insert. I'm going to do a bar graph. And it's this one here. Hit the drop down arrow. Might as well do 3D. Great. And there I can see. I'm going to shrink this thing up. We know how to shrink a graph, right? You go to the handler. Once you're on the chart, you can move it around. My chart title should be then total revenue. And I can see, again, if I go back to the original 700, right? There I can see my old revenue was higher than my new revenue, and the different coefficients of demand, right? 1.5. It is elastic, right? Bad things happen. If I make my quantity 900 again, boom. This is a good thing that I can see my new revenue is higher than my old revenue. So this is the spreadsheet to do. Notice there's another sheet here called the guide sheet, where it just pulled something from the textbook, right? So again, this is a good thing to look at if the price goes up and total revenue goes down, right? Because it's elastic demand, right? If the price goes up and total revenue goes up, it's inelastic demand. So take like you can play around with some different scenarios here, but send me this file again. Don't try and just type in the numbers here. I do look at the formulas. So make sure you have your absolute here. Make sure you have your change in revenue. Follow along. I don't think it's that hard. It's a good thing to look at before the test because these formulas are going to be in the test. And one of the homework questions in Blackboard for the multiple choice questions is going to ask you to come up with a coefficient of demand elasticity. So this will help you do that one. Or do it with a calculator like you will be doing it on the test. Maybe a better idea. All right. Have